welcome to today's DKW show. We've got a rather controversial one today. Is size 16 the new size 0? There's been so many clashes in the media as to whether or not the media's given a good portrayal of what a woman's physique or body shape should be. But I'm not alone in the studio today. I've got my lovely co-host with me, Sam.
Hi there, Jenna. It's wonderful to be here today, and we have some very interesting guests with us today.
We've got
quite looking forward to that
panel. They're quite vocal, and they were coming on. They had their opinions, and I'd love to hear what they've got to say. But before we get into that, I need to introduce them to you. So I'm going to start with our lovely Miss Curvaceous. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You could give us a brief intro about yourself and what you do.
My name is Jerry Hoth and I am a curve model. I was also in the final of Miss Curvaceous 2013 and I'm a mother of 2 and also a preschool practitioner.
Wow, nice. Lovely.
And we have the lovely...
I'm Dave Chorner. I'm a stand-up comic. I'm currently doing a tour called Over It, Death, Anorexia and Other Funny Things, and it's about my experiences being a male anorexic.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
And we have...
Maybe the mic.
I think I have one.
You've got your lapel.
My name is Anna Watts and I have been a commercial model. Well, I started when I was about 3 years old, did a few years as a baby model, and then I started again around 14, 15, so 12 years now. Also singer, dancer, all the kind of theatre school stuff. But yeah, so commercial model.
Lovely.
Nice to have you here.
My name is Stacey. I work within the industry to some extent. Never been a model or anything exciting like that, but I certainly have enough opinions to go around, you know, how I've grown up and everything that sort of came along with the pressures of being in school and I guess as an adult as well, things that come through from the media. So that's really why I'm here.
Great stuff.
Lovely.
My name's Disha and I'm not in the industry and not a model, but I work for a media company.
Right.
But it's not, no one really cares about image there, so yeah, so it's quite casual and I'm here to promote that eating is good.
That's surprising.
My name is Chuck. I'm here to agree with Disha that eating food is good, and I think we should eat more food, and I think we should love our bodies.
Totally agree with you.
Hi, my name's Hattie. I'm a comedian, and I used to be a fitting model, various sizes as I got smaller and bigger. I don't do that anymore, but yeah, same. I think we should just all love our bodies and be healthy, so that's why I'm here, I think.
Great.
Lovely.
Hi, I'm Aisha and I've been working as a news anchor for the past 10 years.
Wow.
For BBC and ITV, and I'm also from an Asian community which is very preoccupied with the way we look, and there's a lot of pressures on being slim, and so I've got a lot to contribute.
Wow. Do you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there with the big question. Do you think that the media has a negative spin on how a woman's body should be? Do you think there is a lot of pressure, or do you think the pressure comes with people not being strong within themselves? Who wants to go first? Well, as soon as you've got the mic.
Yeah. I would say that I think there's an extreme, inordinate amount of pressure on women at the moment to look a particular way, and I think that's why we're seeing an absolute increase in the rise of anorexia and bulimia and so many self-esteem issues, and especially amongst young women. And I think we're bombarded with images, whether it's on television, whether it's in the magazines, whether it's in the papers, by celebrity culture, by music videos, by television shows, which are all about physical perfection. It's like there's some kind of psyche, you know, some societal psyche which is telling us that we are not good enough, and I think so many women are suffering unnecessarily so that they can just, you know, reach this kind of body image that will make them ultimately feel accepted and loved. And I think it's so damaging, and until that's rectified, but I think that will take a process of time, you know, I think things really need to be done. I think things are starting to happen, but I don't think we've got anywhere near the point we need to reach.
I can see you nodding your head like effusively, like in agreement.
They are definitely starting to happen, definitely. In the last maybe 2 years, it's becoming more apparent that they're starting to bring the curvier women out into the media, into the limelight. And they're starting to have different fashion shows, and women are starting to be on the front of the magazines when they're a little bit more curvy. And I just think that it's very important that both sides of the spectrum are catered for. Like, if you're a larger woman or if you're a smaller woman, you need to be out there, because that is what being a real woman is. It's not just if you're a size 0, you're not a real woman, or if you're a size 20, you're not a real woman. It means embracing yourself and loving yourself and being happy and healthy, and that's what being a real woman is.
That's right. I think all women should be
I can see you nodding your head there, and I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
I just feel like there's so much of this. If you're thin, it's not good. Like, it's the bad, you know, everyone wants to get thin, it's not healthy. And I just really feel like, we were having this discussion earlier, whether you are naturally thinner or naturally bigger, just be true to yourself. Some people are born very slight in their frame. Some people are bigger in their frame. I teach at a model school, I coach, and I promote every side of the industry. You've got alternatives, your plus size, your petites, it doesn't matter. People have got this thing about the fashion models and the size 0 and the height, and there's so many other sides to the industry. And like you were saying, the fact that the curve divisions are coming out now, because there has been so much pressure.
Well, do you know what? I've got a picture that's going to come up. I mean, both of you have had experience from that particular industry. I want to go into the modelling industry, and I wanted to show this picture. Take a look at this pic. Now, you've got the classic Victoria's Secrets model versus a more curvier model. Do you think that the industry gives both of them enough limelight, having said what you've both, said?
Now, yeah.
I don't think they give them enough. I tend to agree with you there. The plus size industry has enough limelight yet. The day that I see smaller size women and the curvier women walking down the same catwalk is the day when they've had enough limelight.
Absolutely.
But would you say, I know this sounds a bit controversial coming from me, would you say that unfortunately seeing a more curvier woman wouldn't sell as much as it would with a slimmer woman? And I'm putting it to you as this. Growing up, in my teens, I remember going down Oxford Circus and stuff, and before you had like the Evans and the other plus size shops out there, it was a little difficult. I can see Dave like shaking his head. It was a little difficult, and you wouldn't see as much exposure to a more curvier woman as you see now. However, having said that, me being a former size 24, if I saw someone wearing, let's say, a pair of jeans, and she was that size, and then you had another model wearing the same pair of jeans that was that size. Growing up, I probably tend to have looked at that and thought it would be more, I think
that's what we need to change, though, because I think a lot of people's perception of, I see it a lot, that when a woman's got a curvier figure, or whether they're smaller, the confidence is what sells the item. I've seen women walk down the catwalk and they're much bigger than I am, and you're just like, wow, she's really on fire, like she's really working that outfit. And before, a lot of the clothes for the plus size women were frumpy, they weren't nice, you didn't really want to wear them. Like, you kind of go into the store and see, oh, they only go up to a size 16, and I'm going to have to go to, like you said, to Evans or something like that. And then you end up, thinking, oh, I can't wear this nice outfit. Whereas things are starting to change now, and you're getting a lot of the leading brands are starting to have a curved section. I think they should be combined, personally. But
do you know what? I know Chuck, you just you're itching. He's like, he's got the mic.
Itching to go. Let's see what you have to say.
So I've got a big issue with the Daily Mail website. I do not like the Daily Mail website because this is a news story every single day in the Daily Mail website.
Unfortunately.
If a celebrity loses weight, all of a sudden we think they're more important and more attractive and their life is wonderful, and I disagree.
I mean, sorry. Just before you get into it, Dave, and I saw Anna, you was shaking your head.
She was indeed.
You wanted to say something.
She was itching away.
I just feel like, going on from what you were talking about, it's kind of this whole celebrities losing weight is a good thing, and then she's too thin, and then she's too big, and her life's a mess because she's put on weight, and it's just got out of control. And it's frankly ridiculous. I really feel, I've been in, and this is another thing that we were talking about before in the green room, is relationships and things like that splitting up because the person's got bigger or thinner and all sorts of stuff. And I just think that, excuse me, I just think that the whole weight issue, if you're talking about fashion, certain things look better on certain sizes.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the end of it. It's never going to change. This whole thing of trying to change it, it's never going to change. And certain things are better on certain sizes. But from a personal point of view and the celebrity
culture. And people are free to their own choices, aren't they? That's the thing.
So sorry, Dave, I'm so sorry, because I know you want to say something, but you need the mic.
Bless you. No, I see what you mean, but I think it's also kind of like, in the interest of balance, like,
let's have your mic a bit closer, Dave.
In the interest of like balance, though, like, let's not forget, like, the media didn't create eating disorders, right? And if we are, no, it didn't. Byron in the 16th century was anorexic, and it goes back.
We can't see you on the mic. We're coming to you. We can see you're itching,
but we like that.
Like anorexia particularly has gone back much further, and there are instances 15th, 16th century, right?
Wow.
We are, and it's like a lot of people don't realise that because there's a kind of culture of vilifying the media, and I really want to point out, because I think it's so overlooked, people think that if you say, oh, let's stop using size 0 models, then all eating disorders are going to go away. Eating disorders aren't about seeing a couple of pictures in the same way if I see a cow, I'm not going to become an omnivore, right? It's more about control. So eating disorders are one thing, seeing people is a completely different thing. And to say, oh, let's get a couple of plus sizes, which is a really patronising phrase anyway, let's get a couple of plus sizes out there, you're not going to get rid of eating disorders.
Yeah. Can I just say though, if you go into many societies where the media isn't like it is in the Western world, they have a lot of, they still have, the concept of beauty. Like for the Pakistani community where my parents come from, all the women there, they still like to look nice, they still like to dress nice, they still like to look beautiful. But the cases of, anorexia in my mother's generation were never heard of.
It was almost zero, wasn't it?
It was zero.
Yes.
But in my generation, what's changed? The change is the fact that we have been submerged, but by a plethora of magazines and media and everything else.
I've got to stick up. I do agree in some way, and answering to your original question, I think a lot of the media is to blame in terms of these magazines that put a circle around a tiny little bit of fat that some celebrities got on their leg. I think all that doesn't help. But I had an eating disorder when I was a teenager as well, and I can tell you it was nothing to do with the media or anything like that. It was a sense of control. I didn't feel like I was good at anything at school or anything like that. And I literally started to lose weight, and I was like, oh, I'm quite good at this. I'm quite good at this. This is something I can do. And I did get compliments and stuff. And then, as you probably know, and not to go into the medical side of things, it triggers off. It is a mental thing. It triggers off something in you, and you go, oh, okay. And that's why they say people are. Once you've had an eating disorder, you always have it. It's like alcoholics in a way. You've always got to watch that thing. So I think the media don't help. But I don't think it causes it in any way.
Depends on how strong your self-esteem is as a child.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Pick up on those messages or not.
Exactly. I think it's how the people around you, your parents or whoever around you, to sort of I have it with my nieces. I say, don't worry about it. I say to them, look, those magazines are like comics. I say, don't.
Well, panel, just to stop you there, I'm going to throw this picture up just before we go into a break. We've got a picture of a Gibson girl and a Twiggy lookalike, and I just want you to think about: do you think body consciousness and the physique of how a woman should look has changed over the century? Do you think once again, due to the media or fashion even, or what's popular, a woman's body shape and frame has changed over the years, or centuries even, as to what is attractive and what isn't attractive?
I think that the media has played a big role in what we see and how we perceive it, and essentially what we choose to look like. But looking at these two images, I can safely say that I will always choose the left image over the right. I love her curves. She's got this incredible dress on, but that doesn't mean I want to be like her. That doesn't mean that I want to be any different size to Anna or to Jerry. It just means that is how I see what I would like, if that makes sense.
Well, and just before you go, because we've got to go to a break, and I can see you're itching to give your opinion on this. And if you are interested, you can also go on our DKW website and leave your comments there. But we'll be back after this break. Welcome back to today's DKW show. We've been discussing whether or not size 16 is the new size 0. And before we went to the break, we had a rather controversial question, and Anna, you was just about to answer. I'm so sorry I cut you off there, but carry on.
Okay. I was just going to say that, example-wise, getting thinner is sometimes looked at from a personal perspective, or in my workplace is kind of a good thing. But then when you cross over into your eating disorders and things like that, it's looked at as a negative thing.
Yeah, it's unhealthy.
I had a relationship issue recently where I lost weight, and my relationship suffered from it badly.
Wow.
But then you've got people in relationships or in models who have to maintain a certain weight, and they put on a bit of weight, the agency's not happy.
Right.
Partner might not be happy. So you've got both sides in everything. You know. And I think from a media perspective, regardless of introducing, like you were saying, how patronising it is to introduce of curvier girls, it's almost like where has this all got? Where has it all got so ridiculous?
Do you think that the fashion industry is actually responsible for actually providing a healthy looking body, you know, for people to actually follow?
I just feel like it's your own personal perspective. If you look in the mirror and you want to be curvier, some people are now going and getting, you know, breast implants and bum implants and all sorts of stuff, because there's this kind of thing about the Kim Kardashians and all that, and they want to be curvier. But then in my workplace, if I put on weight, it would be looked at as a negative.
So you're saying the fashion industry is not responsible. You should take it into your own responsibility in order to maintain a healty body, by the way, how you look and feel.
Does anyone agree with that or would like to add? Disha, actually, you've got the mic.
Come on, go ahead. Say what you have to say.
I was going to say that, so I went to a dance and drama school. I wasn't a dancer, I was a drama student. With the dancers, they had loads of pressure being a certain weight. Every week they got weighed. And they were like 15, 12-year-olds. This 15-year-old girl got weighed. She was like 7 stone. And they said, you're too fat. We're taking you off dance until you've lost weight. And then this girl stopped eating, became 5 stone, was told, no, you're too thin to dance now. And she ended up at some clinic.
Malnutrition.
And I grew up looking at these girls thinking, you know, they've got to so struggle with what they have to eat. Whereas the ones that weren't dancing, I didn't have any pressure on me. So I ate what I wanted. I was like skinny as a child, but when I realised there was like alcohol, I put the weight back on. But no, I'm just saying that it's not the media that it's not the media that makes people anorexic or bulimic. I think it's the people around you. And like Aisha was saying about the Asian community, my parents are Indian and my mum's always on my case, lose some weight. But if someone tells me to lose weight, I just don't do it. I'm just like, no.
So do you believe that you have to work on your own self-esteem?
Yeah, like you've just got to be happy in yourself. It doesn't, like I'm not bothered about fashion. I mean, I don't care about, you just got to be happy in yourself. And who cares?
I wanted to say, but I think that, would you say that's rather a hard thing to say that, because you know, not everybody's strong-minded,
and is it unrealistic?
And I'll give an example. For example, like you were saying, people are getting butt implants now because they see the Beyoncés, the Nicki Minaj's, the Kardashians, and so on. And that at the moment is quite topical. It's quite current. That's the current body shape. But then when you go to the early 90s, you had the supermodel saga. So you had the Cindy Crawfords, you had the Naomi Campbells, and everybody had to be even slimmer back then. And then it's like each genre has a specific body shape that, you know, people had to adhere to. And do you think it's easy to just say, well, you should be strong-minded and therefore you should just love yourself?
Sorry, go on.
No, all I was going to say is, going back to the Daily Mail, I think you can choose what you read.
Yeah?
And if you go on the Daily Mail every day, I guarantee it will make you feel... There's that song, you know, Sunscreen, it says, do not read beauty magazines, they will only make you feel ugly. And it's absolutely true. And if you don't read that media, it won't be part of you. And you know, be around friends that don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, it is very hard.
Thank you.
It's all right.
It's very difficult because wherever you go, sorry, wherever you go, you know, there is a sense of, oh well, if I'm not this size, then I'm not gonna feel like I'm fitting in. And I was exactly like that as a child. My mum always said to me, you know, you look lovely, you don't need to lose weight. But I always felt that I wasn't small enough, and I actually quite like my own body, but it's only been in the last 3 years that I've actually started embracing my body for what it was. And some people say to me, you're not plus size, you know, you've got a normal shape. And I say, well, I'm the right shape for me, so whether I'm plus size or I'm smaller size, this is what I'm happy.
Why has it got to have, everything got to have a label?
I know, I think going back to what you were saying earlier, I think it's I think the problem is with the media, and again, I'm not blaming them, but it is very hard, especially if you were saying you're older now and you feel confident and stuff like that, but when you're young and impressionable,
very impressionable,
I think, you know, it is bad. And I think one of the problems is, you know, like when you see these Dove adverts or something like that, and they sort of point out, oh, look at us, we've put 114, so don't mention it, just make it a normality. You know, the same with all these comedians, female comedians, you know, oh, look at us, we've put a female comedian. It's like, don't point it out, you know, just make it, then it will become part of the norm or whatever. But
No, I was just going to say, ultimately, it is down to your self-esteem, and you were saying that should we just accept it, you know, should we just embrace our own self-esteem and accept who we are? But we can't, most people, you know, your self-esteem is not that solid unless you've reached some kind of enlightenment or something. So most people want to be accepted, most people's persons want to be accepted, and if, you know, if society is telling you that you're not going to be accepted unless you're going to be looking good or you're going to have a certain weight, you know, then you're going to feel that inevitably you're going to feel pressure to conform. And that's with all, whether that's your body weight, whether that's your looks, whether that's, you know, your social status. It's all part of the same package.
I mean, you spoke about people being strong-minded and obviously, you know, safeguarding what you read and what you see and so on, and making it part of the norm. So if you're plus size, you don't need to mention that it's plus size, or if you're a small slimmer model, you don't need to mention that you're a slimmer model. But then what happens where you've got this example of, we've got Crystal Wren, who was a plus size model, who lost weight and went, well, I think she was slimmer, then she put on weight, and then she lost weight again to be a skinnier model. So do you think that there was pressures again from her? Anna's like, no. Do you think that there was pressures, or she's, you know, she didn't feel comfortable being that role model anymore?
I'm not sure. I don't know her personally. I don't know the reasons for weight loss.
But in the industry itself,
she was successful as a plus size model.
Right.
She's come out of that. So there could be any reason for it, you know.
Well, so I was just thinking that when I do fitting modelling, I was sort of doing it as a 16, and I just personally was like, I just wanted to feel, I wasn't feeling healthier and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's unhealthy to be 16, but I personally wasn't feeling, I wasn't being able to wear the sort of clothes that I wanted to, you know, I sort of, you know, like if you're bigger busted, and I was sort of bigger busted, being bigger, and there were certain clothes I couldn't wear, and I was so I personally went down for that reason, just for my own. It wasn't any
So
pressure.
it was about you, what you felt comfortable with.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I only lose weight because when you eat bad, your skin gets bad, so I've got bad eczema. The only reason I'll lose weight is because my eczema is getting bad. It's not because of how I look and what clothes I'm wearing. It's just literally for healthy reasons, like I want better skin and I want a clearer. But
wouldn't you agree? I mean, I definitely agree with what Anna said earlier. Don't you think that certain clothes look better on certain frames?
You see
so,
that.
You know, someone wanting to lose weight so that they can wear a certain type of clothing, do you think that would be a bad thing, or do you think that it shouldn't have come to that point?
No, because I lose weight as well if I have to fit into a bridesmaid dress or so. I'm going to be a bridesmaid in July, so I've got to lose weight to fit into the dress. But then as soon as that wedding's over, I don't care what I'll eat anything.
But why not just get the dress that is your size in the first place?
But the thing is, like, That's the problem with these dresses. They don't fit, like, so a size 12 is too big.
No, but you
a
don't
size
have to
10
have
was
the
too
label of
tight.
a size 12 or a size. This is another thing, as we were talking about fittings models.
Yeah.
You've got so many different fittings when you go into one shop. This
Yeah.
size 12. I'm a size 12 in H&M.
No way.
I'm a size 6 in Topshop.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yeah.
The difference is outrageous. Forget the labels. Forget the sizes.
what
Go in
fits-
if it fits you. It fits you.
well.
Some
Good.
certain
I agree with
tailorings
that.
and some certain shapes accentuate certain parts of the body. Some slim, some this. They have different, and everyone's going to be different. Your body shapes are going to be different. Your
I
sizes.
totally agree with you, because I had quite a disaster coming on the show today.
yeah.
Because I actually, this morning, I was in quite a rush, and I have quite a big wardrobe, but because I was running late this morning, I kind of just grabbed one of my outfits, and I thought, right, I'll just grab that dress, only to come to the studio, put my dress on, as you can see, and found that my dress was rather tight. I could just about get the dress up. And saying that, you know, as exactly what you're saying, I feel more comfortable with. I feel very uncomfortable because I'm feeling that I've got a very tight dress on. It doesn't feel as comfortable as when I haven't lost weight and when I'm in my normal size and I've put weight on now and I'm feeling uncomfortable in my clothes.
But you didn't realise that you'd put weight on this morning until you put the dress and then you've
Exactly.
gone, oh my God. But now do you feel unhappy or is it just uncomfortable?
It feels uncomfortable.
So you're not unhappy about putting the weight on?
I'm not unhappy about my weight, but like what many of you have said, it's about feeling comfortable within yourself. And
No, sorry, go on.
you want to say something?
No, because
But my question is to everyone is, you know, do you really think that there needs to be more diversity in body shapes, sizes, within the media?
But I think the biggest problem with that is we're talking about two different things but lumping them into one category.
Okay.
So we're talking about self-esteem on one hand
Yeah.
and body image on the other and what you are like. And that's the problem with like a lot of kind of debates and stuff like this lump them together and they are entirely separate. So you can't just say be happy with who you are, oh you're happy at that size. Those are two completely different things pulling in sporadic.
I mean, with your own personal experience, I mean, I know that you became unwell with your anorexia. I mean, how was that experience for you?
But you know, actually, before you go into that, we have to go to a break. I'm just hearing that. It's getting so heated. It's getting so heated. Because I actually was going to throw this to you, Dave, because I wanted to explore a little bit about what you went through and how you were strong enough to come out of that. Because many people might not be as strong-minded as you and are still going through something similar. So we'll be back after this break. Hi, welcome to DKW. We've been asking, is size 16 the new size 0? We've been having a rather controversial and a fun and flamboyant one here. It's been really, really lovely. But before we went to the break, we were speaking to Dave. And Dave, you were educating us, telling us there is a conscious difference between the two. Could you break that down?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just lump it all into one big pot. But as you was explaining before the break, it's actually two separate things.
Issues.
So the body image is obviously one thing, like, you know, moisturising and stuff like that, so it's great. And then, you know, kind of eating disorders normally, and you can't speak sort of specifically, but generally, normally are grounded, the most common one being kind of control, and the only thing you can take control of is what you eat.
But then would you say it's as just as simple as that to say, look, you have a body image problem and you have a self-esteem problem? How do you separate the two? Because like I said, I'll give a little bit of my story. I have always been large. My parents by default are West African, so from that culture it's all about being curvaceous, you know, being small on the top, being rather big on the bottom, and that's how it was. So my parents used to stuff me all the time and feed me, and I remember being 15 and being a size 24. Now that's rather large for a big girl and who's that tall and at that age, if I could say. And I found it very, very, very difficult. I had low self-esteem because of my body image. I just thought I was ugly because I was that size. And at the time, I remember growing up seeing certain teen magazines and you always had these slim little girls and I was told that's what you're supposed to look like. from seeing those
that
magazines.
Had quite a large impact on
it had a very, very big impact on me. And, you know, some may say, well, you know, you just have low self-esteem and because of that, that's affecting your body image. And I would agree at the time. I didn't know you could separate the two. So could you...
Yeah, and I want to hear his experience as well. Because
well, that was my side, and it was more emotional because it was like food made me happy as well. So if I was bullied, I would go and have Haagen-Dazs. If I felt miserable, I would go and have Ben & Jerry's. So I think for me it was more emotional, but you're talking more about the control element. So are you saying someone could have really good positive body image and have low self-esteem, or would you say someone can have, you know,
I don't know.
Great self-esteem and poor body image.
But what I'm saying is like the kind of the portrayal of like media and what women are shown and stuff. I think that's different to actual eating disorders. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
I've got that.
And also from a bloke's point of view as well, with like all of these sizes, it's just like bingo to me. I don't know, like 24 or whatever. But like,
but how did you become anorexic?
Yeah,
so for me,
we'd like to hear your experience because I'm sure that's going to help many.
And from
of
a
our
male
viewers.
point of view as well, because many people think it's really a female thing. It affects females. I didn't realise that it would affect.
There are 1.6 million people in the UK that have an eating disorder,
wow.
and 10% of those, 40% of those are anorexic and 10% of those are male. Only 10% of anorexics are male, but it is massively on the increase.
Wow.
And I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I don't know the reason for it, but I think men are terrible at talking about mental health anyway. And it's amazing when we did the show in Edinburgh, the amount of time, like every day there'd be like 3-4 people come up afterwards. They'd known someone, they'd had someone, they'd kind of that girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, had suffered with it. It was incredible. And for me it kind of all started when I used to play rugby, used to be a big beefy like and which was interesting when I started losing weight, but I lost weight for a play where I had to appear topless. It was the first time I'd thought about my body, so I understand that. But then it spiraled out of control, and I ended up dating this girl that was amazing, and then we broke up, and I correlated getting skinny with getting this incredible girl. And because I'd got GCSEs, I'd got A levels, I'd got unis, I'd got prospectuses, it was the only thing that I could control was not eating. So I stopped eating and I took control, and there's that kind of feeling of like, yes, I've actually got control of something. And then it spiraled out of control. Also, I don't want to say too much on camera just because it is quite triggering. Anorexia is not about just not eating. It's you start to do things like there's laxatives, there's weighing, there's exercising. I had health defects with my heart. I ended up in hospital. All of this kind of stuff, and it's much more.
And these are the unhealthy things that people actually do to make themselves look slim. You know, and this is the most bizarre thing about it. Why it's important to be happy with yourself, regardless of the size that you are, because in actual fact, we know that not everyone is meant to be size 0 or they're not, you know, their body frames, their bone size, you know, if you think of a person that was, okay, you lost weight and you've come down, but when you think about it for yourself, Jennifer, you have not come to a size 6.
No.
And how unhealthy maybe that would be for you if you did try to come to a size 6.
This is the thing, this is another thing that's quite controversial, but I'm still going to throw it back to the men again afterwards. It's all about what people say you're supposed to be. Now, I mean, if you take a look at me, my wrists are quite small. I don't know if the camera can see. So really, you know, when I used to hear people tell me, well, you're supposed to be big. You're supposed to be big growing up. Well, you're supposed to be big. I'll look at myself and think, well, not really, because my ankle and my wrists are actually quite tiny. So then it made me think about like my bone structure, my frame, and what I should be. And then it went more from, okay, losing weight to fit into certain clothes or to feel accepted to, okay, what is actually healthy?
What is healthy?
Like, looking at my frame, I don't think my frame is supposed to carry so much weight. For example, if I was wearing heels, like, when I was a size 24, I could never wear heels like this because the weight was just so unbearable. I could just about walk to the bus stop and then I'd have to pop my shoes off because it's like, ugh. Whereas there's other women that could probably take the weight because it's just easier for them. But that was just me.
Could I say I'm classed as clinically obese? And I don't really think that I am obese.
I tell you, and coming back to that, I had a breast enlargement when I was younger, and about 7 or 8 doctors refused to do it because my BMI was too low.
Yeah,
Really?
But I was just my normal. I was 20. I was set like just under 8 stone. That's just my natural kind of weight.
Yeah.
You know,
When you eat normally, that's how you are.
And yeah, they're telling me it's dangerous for you to be that thin.
I'm quite interested
and it's dangerous.
to hear from the men's point of view.
I mean, what do you think?
Do you have as much peer pressure yourself as a man, do you think?
Do you think there's pressure on men basically to look a certain physique or to weigh a certain size? Would you?
Well, I'm a bit old now, but if I was in my early 20s or my teens, I think it's really tough for young men today.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a bit old, so I don't really get that. But I think if I was in my teens or early 20s, definitely, yes. But something I did want to say is I don't think that guys, and Dave, you could back me up on this, we're not that interested in really, really skinny girls in the way that women think we are. I don't know any guys who like women because they're really skinny.
I do.
I've never heard guys.
Actually,
I don't think this is X-rated to say this, but you can edit it out if it is. But guys normally like certain things about women that you don't get on really skinny girls. That's what I hear a lot of.
and that's, I mean, people have different tastes, don't they?
That's true. That is true. Because I want to, like, I think people are beautiful and I go more for personality. But this is a really Rexy thing as well, that like I kind of like talking about body image, and I don't want to kind of skew the two, but when I started to look ill, and I was pumped about that. I never forget like my mum sort of saying, you look awful, like you've got bags under your eyes, and they're kind of like under my eyes.
You were achieving
exactly, because I was getting there, exactly, and I kind of got there, and that's really, you know, and people were sort of saying, man, you look really waif, and I was like, oh well, thank you. And it is an odd kind of thing, and I think we kind of like, everyone's different in terms of what they like, but
do you know, before you go away, because our producers, they put on a picture just before of a model, and I would like to ask you, do you guys look at models like the one we had before? Could you put it back on?
I don't care about
like if you saw someone like
she looks like a man.
I mean, if you saw a man like that, would that make you feel insecure? Because I tell you why. Because I just want to. I want to throw this question: do you think women and men react differently to body image, you know, and self-esteem differently? Like, for example, if you look at that, would you think, oh gosh, I don't look like that, I'm ugly? Whereas if you had a beautiful model, a female model, would you women look at that and think, oh my goodness, I don't look?
I think it's about the friends and the family and the people you're around. And I don't hang around. My social circle aren't people who are obsessed with looks and having abs. This is not a conversation we have in a wine bar. But I'm sure that those conversations happen. It's just who you surround yourself with.
And
don't you think it's like
personal?
Also, like from both points of view, male and female, like I would not go for that sort of guy, because I'd think me and him are not going to hang out and have a roast dinner and stuff. He's not going to want to eat lots of food, and you know, he's just going to be in the gym all the time. That's boring. And I think it's just saying from a male. I know a lot of my boyfriends said the same. Said I look at girls that are really skinny, and I just think she ain't gonna like our food. You know, that's what they're not interested in. I can't remember who wanted it. Sorry.
You go first.
It's not right, but people do think like that.
Yes,
because you have a personal, like some people might look at me and think, oh, she's never been in the gym in her life. Do you see what I mean? But I do go to the gym.
But would you prefer size 16 to be the new 0?
No, I think I would actually prefer for everyone to feel okay and to feel that they can be whatever size they want to be. I don't think that this one should be better than this one or this one.
If everyone all of a sudden was happy with their body, the media would be they would be finished.
They'd have a meltdown.
It's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
No one's ever going to be really 100% happy all the time.
Essentially, why does there have to be 0 versus size 16? Why can't there not just be a happy medium of people accepting who they are, what they are, and how they are? I mean, essentially, no one's ever going to achieve perfect body image. It's virtually impossible, all things considered. I mean, you take into account culture. You know, BMI is a bit of a joke, let's be honest. You know, you can't possibly say that you're overweight or underweight based on a scale that doesn't take into account all of these other things, culture, ethnicity, what you eat, who you surround yourself with, as we've been talking about. There's way too many things to say 16 is the new size 0, because quite frankly, it cannot be.
That's something that I always find quite interesting. I don't mean any disrespect to you, but normally, like, I don't really change your picture now, but that's normally what you get. Like, people show you muscly men and say, do you not want to look like this?
And some people don't.
It's like there are two schools of thought, and that's it, and anyone else can just go to Croydon. Yeah. But I just don't. I know. I'm sure I love Croydon, but it's
I mean, the facts are people do get so obsessed with media and pictures and what they see out there, and it takes control of them.
It does, and when you say that, it brings me on to something that I want to throw at you again right before we go to a break. Photoshop, our lovely friend who can make you look absolutely gorgeous, even if you don't feel so gorgeous or don't see yourself as gorgeous. And there's a picture that I want to get up here as well, apart from our little catwalk there, of an image of a photoshopped woman. What she looks like bigger and what she looks like slimmer. Now, Jerry, I want to throw this to you, and I want you to speak about this after the break. Do you think things like Photoshop really destroy a woman's image? And do you think photoshopping out, certain lumps and bumps and curves, gives women a distorted view of what they really look like?
Well, I think to that extreme, yes.
Yeah. Well, save it. We'll be back shortly.
Yeah.
So, just before the break, we were talking about the dreaded and sometimes lovely Photoshop. I mean, Jerry, seeing that image, you were ready to go in there and say what you had to say. I mean, do you think things like Photoshop give people a real distorted, body conscious or body image of themselves?
Well, I actually think both of the models look nice, personally.
But that's one person.
I know, and the fact is that they didn't actually have to do that, because if they would have preferred the person that was modelling the knickers to be slimmer, they could have used a slimmer model.
But in the industry, do they?
But do they actually do that? Because I tell you what, what I found refreshing for me, and I don't know if you agree, was when they started doing these reality TV shows on models. And then they, various of these programs, I'm not going to name any for a few, and they'll get these normal, regular ladies, and then I thought, but she doesn't look like a model. And then after the photo shoot, and it's like, bam, when they get to the judges, and they have to do the preliminaries, is that word? And then they'll pick a certain model, and then I'll be like, but she doesn't really look like that.
But I think there's a difference between editing a person and retouching a picture.
Right.
Because sometimes...
Can you explain the difference, by the way, because you guys are in the industry. What is the difference between editing and retouching? That's a great point.
For example, I might have... that's an edit. Completely edited her shape.
Right. So it's different,
her bum's been lifted. Yeah. I mean, I'll have a photo shoot done, and if I have maybe a groove in the wrong place, it just doesn't suit the clothes exactly right. They might smooth it out a little bit. That's a little bit different. So, a bruise or a mark.
So what's it like? A groove is like a bump or something.
Yeah,
or
so maybe I've held my arm in an awkward way, so it's just kind of
smoothing it.
Yeah, just smoothing it out.
And but not completely changing.
Yeah, if they completely change my body,
your body
then
shape,
it might as well not be me modelling, because that's not my body shape, and that's not what I'm trying to get across. If my daughters looked at a photo of me and I was like 4 sizes smaller, they'll probably think, who's that? That's not mummy.
Do you know this as part of the industry standard, what they do?
Also, from a work point of view, as a working model, you have to have a portfolio of images.
Right, okay.
That is your CV almost.
Okay.
If you turned up to a casting, which is like an audition, with lots of images that you've been chosen to come in based on those images, and you come through the door looking completely different, they would just tell you to leave.
Yeah.
Your portfolio from a model's point of view has to be a true representation of you.
Right.
So from a professional point of view, as a working model, my pictures, they are brushed here. If there was something odd sticking off the bottom of a, there are certain airbrushing things that happen in the process, but the pictures look the same. The pictures look like me when I go in.
Sometimes they don't do that in the mainstream industry. I think sometimes they do chop off bits, and I personally don't think that's right.
I'll beg to differ, and I'll tell you why. You know, every now and again you do get things floating around, going viral on YouTube and stuff, and you've got the famous celebs before and after. I mean, I remember I saw like one celeb without makeup, and I was absolutely shocked.
But that's makeup.
Without the retouching as well. They showed the stages, and it for me that was what you would call editing.
Yeah.
I mean, they lifted her brow,
definitely
changed the definition of her eyes, they plumped up her lips, and
don't forget though, like as a
Mike.
Sorry. No, but it's dangerous as a consumer as well, because I work with an incredible eating disorder charity called Beat, UK's biggest eating disorder charity, Beat, and they're lobbying at the moment to get some companies to stop photoshopping. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name, but
no, don't say the name. Don't say the name.
Don't say the name.
There is a big online retailer, and they're purely online. They're amazing. I've got a couple of jackets, wicked, but they sell purely online. And they can't Photoshop, and everyone was like, oh, well done, and they're the first company to not do that. But they turned around really honestly and said, look, obviously we want to help promote positive body image, but at the same time, someone buys a coat or something from me, and it looks exactly different, because like, it's on a model, and then like, you know, it's come home. You're never going to go back to that online retailer ever again.
Which goes back to what I was saying in the first segment, does certain pieces of clothing look better on one particular body shape than the other. But you know what, before we drift back into that subject, I want to talk about parenting and kids. Now, apart from our lovely Jerry, does anyone else have kids? No? Okay, so then I'm going to throw this at you, Jerry, and perhaps you can chip in as well. I mean, I wanted to ask, do you think that there is enough tools and incentives out there to educate children and young people into having a more healthier, more positive body image and self-esteem?
I personally think that in schools it should be compulsory to have some kind of mentoring towards self-image and self-confidence, because a lot of children are easily influenced by what's around them, and it could be something like, my daughter's got very, very curly hair, and she came home crying because she was saying that people were saying that her hair looks like a pineapple. And I had to sit down and say, look, Neve, this is the way that you were born, this is the way that you're meant to be. And just the same way that when mummy walks down the catwalk, she might not look like everybody else out there, doesn't mean that you're any less beautiful. And I also support the Beat charity as well. And I just think that it's an incredible thing to have people and charities out there that are kind of working for the children, because they are the generation that are going to grow up at the end of the day, and they need to realise that you know, it's very important that they love themselves for who they are.
Do you know, having said that, that's really lovely. I'm so sorry, Stacey, I know you was going to say something, but as it was mentioned earlier on before, it all depends on if you've got positive people around you. And for the time being, before schools and stuff get into that, do you think there could be more done for children? Because what if you don't have the parent that, you know, agrees with having
sadly,
a certain,
it does start at home.
You know, if you're supposed to look a certain way in a particular culture, for example, that could have an adverse effect if you're having that kind of people around you. So
I think it definitely does start at home. I mean, at home, I'm very big on, you know, uplifting my children and telling them to kind of embrace who they are. But like you said, not everybody's like that. Some people might see their parents extreme dieting, or they might see them just eating unhealthy foods all the time. And I think it's very important that we work as a society to kind of get the right images out there to the children, because the parents aren't always going to do it, sadly. So it's down to me as a teacher as well to kind of say, you know, we need to do more as a society to kind of work with the children to get these positive images inside there.
I completely agree with that. It does start at home, but coming from my own experience as a high school and intermediate as well, kids are cruel. Kids are so cruel, and
I agree.
Even as an adult, sometimes I'm a little shocked by the behaviours of children. I think it's a little bit worse than being an adult. I remember when I was in school, I was a very sort of scrawny, weedy kid, very, very skinny. not intentionally, just that's how I was essentially. I was called anorexic, I was called bulimic. People didn't believe me when they saw how much I ate at lunch because I had an appetite. You know, kids are cruel, and I think that plays into a lot how children perceive themselves based on what the other kids at school are doing. You know, the popular kids always seem to be the prettier ones. They always seem to be the ones who are wealthier and have better this.
And it's like,
from my perspective.
That's her opinion.
Good save. Good save.
Let's hear from...
Well, amongst many things, I was a teacher assistant for a while, and what I was going to say is actually I think that something does have to be done in the schools, education with lifestyle, the whole lifestyle for kids and stuff, because I think you can't just, you know, not being horrible to certain parents, but like, you know, maybe they don't know, and I think this has been controversial now going a little bit away, but obviously we do have a problem with obesity in this country with children, and I've had experience of children, and I think I know they're not getting the education at home that they need, and I just think, you know, obviously some of us are lovely, vivacious ladies, but we do stuff and we get out there and we do life. I saw kids that were just sitting there, miserable, lonely, eating. And because I've been on the other side with not eating, and I got, you know, I had help offered to me, they don't get any help. And it's not just about going, don't eat, whatever, it's about psychological help. And they need counselling and stuff like that, and to self-worth to feel great, not just to say don't eat, because again with obesity it's the same as anorexia. I think that it's about getting into the brain and helping them to feel good. So if you're at school and you're teaching them about healthy food and exercise, and maybe they don't want to do, I don't know, netball, maybe they want to do dance or something else that's just physical, just to get, you know, but
because as we know that schooling is a part of our life, so
you know,
education is going to be a key.
I am so sorry, we've run out of time now. We've come to the end of the show. It's actually been absolutely
amazing. That's gone
brilliant.
really quickly, hasn't it?
I tell you, it's gone really quickly. But one thing I did want to say that I loved and I learned from all of you is all about having positive body image and self-esteem. And you know, if you're lacking in that, look for help. Get the support that you need in order to raise it up. But also remember that you are an individual and you're unique to you. If you've got that body shape, learn how to embrace it, take care of it, make sure it's healthy, and make sure you style it according to how you like it and not how someone's told you it's supposed to be. So have a fab Sunday. Panel, I loved you guys. You were absolutely brilliant. It was a pleasure. Sam, weren't they absolutely fabulous?
They were absolutely brilliant.
You know?
And I hope you will all come back again.
Yes, would love to have you back. And from the lovely DKW studio, have a fab Sunday afternoon and love you. Take care.